Hello, everyone. I'm Marlene Foster with Empower the Vision, and today is going to be an incredible day. I have some phenomenal guests here with me today, and we're going to pose a question to you. For instance, how are you transformation in terms of transformation? What transforms you in business or even in your personal life? Could it be family, employees? Customers, or is it just asset protection? But we're going to talk about both sides of protection as well, because a lot of us fear it usually is being protected when you are afraid of risk. And then there's those who step out and they take risk. And my two guests today, they stepped out and they took risk. And they were talking to us about the transformation and the success that they're actually experiencing today. My two guests are, first of all, David Hanson. Okay, and David actually was actually interviewed with me back in 2021. Can you believe that? 2021, he and I spoke. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Marlene. Thank you for having me back on your show. There's something special about you. I owe you a debt of gratitude because I don't know if your viewers know this, but you were my very first podcast interview. That was the first time I was ever a guest on a show. And I will never forget that you got me started on doing this. And that was a real challenge for me because I'm not accustomed to being on camera, and so I'm just really grateful to you that you gave me that experience of being a guest on your show, and it's even more of an honor that you're bringing us back. That's so kind of you, and I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the viewers that are watching right now. So thank you for being here. Thank you for having me back and for getting me started. You've been instrumental in that way, and you've continued to support me in so many ways. There's been a number of times when you've reached out to me and said, David, I think you need to be writing a book. And it happens to be at times when I've really been thinking about that, because I do feel like I have a book in me, at least one book. And it was just kind of a divinely inspired message for, confirmation when you would reach out and say, David, you should be writing a book. And, I love your posts and I think you have a lot to offer the world. And I just really appreciate that support and encouragement that you give me, Marlene. And it's great to be here with my soul sister, Michelle Cordy. We are, she's my soul sister, and we're very much on a same life path and same wavelength. And so it's great to be in the spotlight and be on your show together with her.
David, it is my pleasure, for you to be here today. Thank you. Thank you for accepting. And I want to also invite for you to meet. I know a lot of you know this young lady, Michelle Cordy, and Michelle and I spotlighted her back in 2022, and she has just flown. She's flown the coop, guys. I mean, Michelle, she didn't know, but I've been watching her. She is sensational, guys, and her clientele love her. So I want to invite Michelle, if you could look, come on board with us, Michelle. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
Yes, well, thank you again, Marlene, for having me on. It's been an honor to be a guest a second time around as well, especially with my soul brother, David Hanson. Marlene, you have always been so supportive, and you always give great comments on your post, and you are just loved by so many. And like we were saying earlier behind the scenes, like our communities intertwine with one another, and our vibe attracts our tribe. So I'm grateful to be here, and I can't wait to dive on into this conversation.
Wonderful, wonderful. And again today we've got the transformation specialists here today, and we'll be talking about both transformation and protection. And I just wanted to start off just by talking about, which I spoke with Michelle and David about, and that was, if you noticed, restaurants, when a lot of them when the pandemic hit, how they closed their doors. Remember when you were going out to eat and you noticed that your favorite restaurant may have been closed, and there was some that took a risk, and that's what will be discussed today. With our guests is how you transform, and that's what a lot of the restaurants did, didn't they? They now have Uber service. They now have a lot of dashing going on, and these people are making money. They didn't give up. They transformed. And that's where Michelle will start with us today. She'll start off by talking with us about prior to the pandemic, where she was prior to the pandemic, the transformation that she implemented, and where she is today. Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, thank you, Marlene. Yeah, so my story kind of started before the pandemic. I was let go from a job in 2017 due to restructuring in corporate, and I didn't know what to do. And I realized that, I wanted to help people, but I didn't know how and what capacity. And I found a great support group for business professionals like myself. And I was helping everybody else in the room because at the time I was putting myself last, and that was a detriment to my it end up finding a job 16 months later because I put myself last. And I found a great job. And what I realized when I landed, I wanted to be a career coach. And I truly believe that the lessons that we go through in the journey to get to where we are is the aha moments. And when I finally had a conversation with my boss because I was unhappy in the role that I had accepted. She said, "What can I do to make you happy?" And I said, "I want to work with clients." And that she had consultants, but she allowed me to have career coaching clients. Fast forward to the pandemic, I was on a temporary furlough, and I was helping the people. I didn't know they were going to have Zoom calls. Thank goodness for Zoom. That we were able to. I was able to help those people still in transition. And when she asked me, my former boss asked me to come back, I resigned to pursue my own career coaching. And that's when I really had to, we have to follow our gut feeling of what we are truly passionate about. There's so many of us that are just existing and not living. And that's what we need to do is find what lights us up and what we're totally passionate about. And don't allow fear to get the best of us, because fear is just beliefs in the stories that we make up. It's the ego saying, no, 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 don't do this. You're playing small and safe. And that's what we need to do, opposite of finding things that we love to do that lights us up and brings us joy. And that's about transformation. Don't be scared, of the word transformation, because it's change, and change is needed. And we might not accept it right away, but it's the feeling like, okay, everything's going to be all right. And we just need to embrace the changes.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm listening to you. That's exactly what I love about right there, what you just said, Michelle, and that is self-love.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, it's self-care, because
Mm-hmm.
when we lack self-care, which I know for a fact I have, mainly helping my mom out, because she was ill for a very long time and still is. And so, and out of three daughters, I was the one there with her, guys, for the close to 20 years helping my mom. So I know what you mean. And when you don't stop and take care of yourself, what happens? I became ill. The illness hit me right as the pandemic was hitting. I was really sick. I became ill, and that in the pandemic, I'm sorry, guys, it just looked even uglier for me because of what I was already facing. So that was just a bad point in my life. But then I did exactly what you and David, what we're talking about today. That is looking at the transformation, and so that's what I started to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's what I had to end up doing. Like in the fall of 2020, I invested in an international coaching program, and it wasn't the coaching program per se. It was the people in that coaching program that allowed myself to drop the insecurities, to talk openly about the depression, to talk about losing my job due to restructure, and that wasn't my fault. It was, it ended up being a blessing in disguise, and that's what we have to embrace, the blessings in disguises. but it also starts, the transformation starts from within. We have to put ourselves first. You know, society has coined it like, don't put yourself first, it's selfish. No, it's necessary in order to be the best aspect of ourselves. We have to be our own best friend and cheerleader. And it starts by loving and caring for ourselves. No one's going to do the work for us. We have to be the one to transform our own selves.
You know, absolutely, because you think of even this David practice. You know what? She just mentioned cheerleadering. You ever seen anybody become a cheerleader without having to practice? I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to on my team. Can you picture that guy? Somebody who hadn't practiced at all. I want to be a cheerleader. And they just jump out at the first game and just out with excitement. And the other young ladies they're synchronized, organized, and they are excited and everything. And then somebody flip flops out there in the middle of the game, probably cause the team to lose because you got to practice. And even like you were saying, those who are afraid of public speaking, it's just most of the time I'm normally just focusing on the crowd, and I'll choose certain individuals who are sitting out there, and I talk to them. That's pretty. See, David agreed. I just simply look out, talk to them, and then they start to smile and they feel so alive because she's talking to me. And then you can move from them or across the room to somebody else. That's how you do it. You're right. It's not, you don't let fear get you. Just remember those are people sitting out there. They're human just like you are. And so I started to transform how I spoke to audiences. This is different though, guys, talking to a camera. Like, I have to be honest. I really had to transform here. I had to get used to this. I'm used to seeing eyeballs, okay, real people. I'm used to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people just want to be seen and heard and listened to, and that's why I said earlier about being on Zoom. And like the three of us wouldn't have met if it wasn't for Zoom. So that's what I'm so thankful for. But you know, just like everything, we all had to pivot and transform to different ways, and that change can be scary. But I mean, change is awesome because look at us, we're all now thriving together.
You know what? Very true. And when I first started, and David can attest to this, most of the individuals that I spotlighted from the start were not from the United States. Were they, David? People would say, Marlene, what do you have against the U.S.? I said, I mean, against the U.S. But most of this spotlight, yes, are global. That's it, and it's because they reached out to me. I reached out to them, and I got to know so many people. It's like you were saying, the relationship building for me was just out of this world. And
Yes.
I enjoyed that. And it pulled me, Michelle, out of that little hole I was in because of where I was when the pandemic first started. And they just pulled me out and talked to me and said, everything is all right. And I'm happy that you're here with me. And so then, and then we just started to know one another and collaborated. Collaboration really seriously important. And that's what I did with David. David and I collaborated. And Michelle, I can't remember at this point. Somebody told me about you. I don't know if it was David or who, but somebody did. So everybody I've ever spotlighted, somebody graciously said, "You gotta talk to Michelle Court." So that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And now, let me ask you this. Okay, as you start from you got into you went past the transformation part for you. What was that like though? Like that's what I'm really wanting to hear. Why transform in the first place? I was gonna ask you, David, that question. They don't ask you too. Why transform in the first place? It's scary, it's risky,
Mm-hmm.
and you could fail. Why? Why do it?
Yeah. Why not? If you don't know until you try. And that's when, when I resigned from my previous role and I did the entrepreneurship, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's an inner calling, an inner knowingness. It's a feeling. Sometimes you just can't describe it, and you have to go for it. And getting back to a little bit about my story is when I did the international coaching program and I was spotlighted. They asked me to be a spotlight, and I re-listened to the recording. And that's when people were telling me, Michelle, you're more than a career coach. And that's when I changed my title to transformational coach, because I've been through such a huge transformation. And it starts with, forgiving people, ourselves, that, the limiting beliefs that I had put in my head. It's forgiving other people, but it's a belief in yourself that there's more to life than what you're experiencing. And I was just before existing, and now I'm living because I love what I do.
Wow. You know what? See, and that's great. And it shows. It shows. You remember when we the first time we spotlighted. Do you remember my telling you? I looked at you and said, "Gosh, you're beautiful." You remember I told you
Yes.
that you were. And I'll tell you, listen, I'm a woman. Let me tell you something, and I enjoy men. But I looked at you, and it was just a sparkle about you, and I just said it. I just said it to you, and I said, she's it's a beautiful woman here. And it wasn't just the beauty from the outside that I was feeling. It was the inner beauty of Michelle is what I was talking about when I met you.
Thank
And,
you.
and it made our conversation and also if you guys want to go back and I will be actually posting it. Do you want to see me and Michelle and me and David too from the start back in 2021 and 2022? I would love to invite you. Go back and take a look at at our spotlight, and you'll see just how much you can really see how much both of them have grown and where they are today and the transformation that they've made in their lives. You'll be able to see it. And so I just want to thank you, Michelle. Thank you for sharing. And I want to ask you now, and you pretty much already shared with us what you're doing today in your business, right? What you're doing today, mainly, okay, coaching, and you're a transformational coach. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. And I love helping people, with depression, just like I had dug myself out of the hole. I love talking about mental health. Mental health is a very near and dear topic to me as well. I'm also starting a 4-week group coaching program that I'm excited about. So those are the things that I'm working on right now.
But let me ask you one last thing before I talk with David. That's this. Okay, the preventive measures for mental health. How can we use those preventive measures to impact our health, physical health as well? What can we do? Some things that we could do that's for mental health that also impact the physical side, of us. What would you suggest?
Oh, there's so many things that I can just discuss about that. But it's honestly, it's just like, don't live in the past, because the past holds us back. That's what makes it more depressive. And we have to forgive the people, and we need to forgive ourselves first about like I said earlier, about the beliefs that people instilled with us, because that's just, keeping us small. And we just have to have a belief that, circumstances didn't cause this depression. I need to dig myself out, and I have to believe in myself, and I have to love myself for who I am, not what other people's perceive I am, because we know ourselves better than anyone else. And it's just embracing every day in the present moment, and not fearing the future, because we don't know, it can change in a blink in the eye. But find things every day that bring you joy. I mean, Marlene, you and I talked about coloring the first time we were on, and we both love to color. I mean, it's the simple things. We need to pull out the inner child and the things that we love to do, and that's what we need to embrace. And again, just do everything with love, and not be in that ego fear mind.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Okay, and okay, David Hanson, we just and I was looking at mainly what I know from our spotlight that we had together back in 2021, and I know that you also today are doing more spiritual, right? The spirit, but I don't want to fast forward. Just to start, if you don't mind, tell us again for you what it was like prior. I want to know your experience there within the company and the business, and then the transformation period, and also, where you are today.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad about this conversation, because it's causing me to reflect on my own personal transformation. And it's kind of blowing my mind, just how much we have transformed over time. And yeah, prior to the pandemic, I was working in a home furnishings company. It's called Room and Board, and I was doing home furnishing sales and interior design consulting. And on the topic of mental health, my degree is actually in counseling. My major was human services with a counseling emphasis, and I have always been that person that people go to and they tell their problems and their secrets, and I help them with their problems. I've always, since I was a teenager, I know so many people's deep, dark secrets, and so I'm kind of a natural counselor. And so I went to university to study counseling. But my greatest interest was actually what is now called positive psychology. So it's less emphasis, for me anyway, less emphasis on treating depression and substance abuse and bipolar and what have you, but using psychology in a positive, proactive way, using psychology to live a happier, more fulfilling life. And so at that time, it was probably called success psychology. I'm not aware of universities that taught positive psychology. I love that it's grown, that the psychology field has grown in that area, and life coaching is really closely linked to positive psychology. And so after I got my degree, I actually worked in a psychiatric hospital while I was going through university. And so I got some great experience in counseling and leading therapeutic groups and working in the mental health industry. And anyway, I ended up taking these roles that were kind of a hybrid of sales and counseling or consulting with people. And so there was always this aspect of selling, but also very much leaning into my counseling skills and active listening skills and uncovering the needs of the client and helping them. And so I've always kind of maintained those counseling skills. And again, it just comes naturally to me anyway. But I always maintained those active listening skills and counseling skills in every role that I've ever had. And I've also been very interested in spirituality since my teenage years. Spirituality has been a real deep part of who I am. And I used to be religious at one point. I was a part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They're commonly known as Mormons, or they call themselves LDS, Latter-day Saint, for Latter-day Saint. And so I was a Mormon at one time, and used to be part of an organized religion, but I no longer subscribe to an organized religion, but I am still very much a spiritual person. I consider myself to be spiritual, but not religious. And I am most interested in universal spiritual principles that are found in all faiths. That there are certain principles that rise to the surface in all faiths, and that's where the greatest spiritual truth lies. Is those truths that rise to the surface. And in my spiritual journey, I ended up getting into meditation in 2018. And that really greatly accelerated my spiritual transformational process. And part of that, it brought up this self-love that Michelle was talking about, that through meditation, I started to attune to my higher self, my divine spiritual essence. We are all, at the core of our being, we are a divine spiritual being. We're having a human experience, but we're a divine spiritual being having a human experience. And meditation helps me to tap into that. And one of the aspects of our spiritual nature is love. And so the more that we live in alignment with love, that is how we transform. When we live when we love ourselves and love other people, there's nothing more spiritual than that. There's nothing more spiritual than giving and receiving love. That is, love and spirituality are practically synonymous. And so that's where the transformation lies. The spiritual transformation is loving ourselves and loving other people more. And that's been the beautiful part of this journey. And so I mentioned that I was working in a home furnishings company, and I started meditating, and it started to awaken these dreams that I had for myself that I had kind of given up on. I was interested in being a life coach of sorts, being a life coach, but I'd kind of given up on that. And I remember one time I was at work, and one of my coworkers asked me if you could do whatever, if money wasn't a concern and you could just do whatever, what would you do? And I said that I would like to be an inspirational teacher, like an inspirational speaker and teacher. And she was very gracious about it, and she said, "Oh, you would be great at that and everything." But afterwards, I felt really embarrassed because I felt like such an imposter that just to even think that I could be an inspirational teacher, because I didn't have my own act together. And so, what do I have to teach anybody? And so it really brought up like this imposter syndrome, just in this hypothetical idea of being an inspirational teacher. But meditation started to awaken that in me again. It started to awaken that desire to help and serve people and help them to transform their lives. That as my life was transforming, as I was changing, I wanted to help other people on their transformational process, because it's a beautiful ongoing miracle. Transformation isn't a one and done thing. It's an ongoing process, but it's an ongoing miracle, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, but it is not easy. It's actually quite difficult. When you think about what a caterpillar undergoes to become a magnificent butterfly, that's not easy. That's a real intense transformation, and it involves going in that cocoon, going within, just like essentially a meditation.
Mm-hmm. Something. And I was just reading something about butterflies just the other day, and the transformation, because actually, believe it or not, the butterfly deals with transformation and protection. Because think about the caterpillars is there, right? And you think about something as simple and as defenseless as a caterpillar. How are they going to protect themselves, either from predators or whoever would come along? But it was funny how they know where to place themselves within a bush or a plant or something. They position themselves there, and the plant's leaves of some type maybe like grow up around them, and somehow they protect them. There's a protective feature there, because you're right, butterflies are phenomenal. I agree, and they don't worry, do they? And nature doesn't worry, does it? Does a flower worry, oh, will I get enough sunlight? Will I get enough water so I can grow? Does a tomato want? You see all of that and as I said earlier, interdependence, and I talk about that a lot, interdependence, guys, because most of the time we love independence, don't we? We are independent thinkers, and that's great, but you still got to find a way, as you and Michelle was saying, to spread, to gather and to collaborate and to welcome others into the fold and be able to help. Like as you were saying, both of you enjoy helping people. Interdependence helps people. when you interdependent, yeah, that's strong. And you don't find a lot of interdependence in this world, guys. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm looking around. I look at people, it's like, and some people will collaborate for just whatever meaningful existence they have there. They said, well, I'll collaborate with Michelle because she can help me with this. But I'm talking about interdependence, man, that just connects and connects and connects and connects and continues to connect. And you guys continue on down the road, and everybody along that line wins. Everybody can celebrate because they're all winners. And so I love when you mentioned the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
The butterfly is, I mean, the butterfly, and I love the ant too.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
really are interdependent. And Michelle mentioned Zoom, and I didn't even know what Zoom was until I lost my job, until I was laid off at the pandemic. But I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for the internet and Zoom, and this would not be happening right now if it wasn't for the technology that we enjoy today. And I'm grateful for it because your vibe attracts your tribe. And you mentioned, Marlene, how you interview people all around the world. And likewise, I'm meeting people in my soul tribe all around the world. They're all kinds of different countries. And it's wonderful to energy transcends time and space. And so that's why we can have a soulful connection with somebody on the other side of the world, because it's that energy, it's that energetic connection that we have, that soulful connection that we have. And Zoom makes it possible for us to converse with each other. We are all interconnected in one. On a spiritual level, we are all interconnected in one. But Zoom makes it possible for us to have a conversation like this right now. And I'm so grateful for all the people that I'm meeting on LinkedIn who are in my soul tribe. It's been wonderful. And also I'm so grateful for mentors who recognized my potential and kind of took me under their wing and just helped me out of the goodness of their hearts. That's that interdependence that you're talking about, Marlene, is that, I didn't transform all by myself. It's because of people like you who, had me on her show as a guest and gave me that experience, and people who have mentored me and guided me and supported me and gave me feedback. It's just such a blessing and we are totally interdependent on one another.
It's the confidence boost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here as we're sitting, talking, and I'm actually I'm thinking back even on myself, and prior to, the pandemic, of course, I was always a person, I was on the road, I was gone. I mean, I always worked from home. I was always remote. It was always there for me. I've always been like that. I didn't work for a business. I was always a 1099. So I was always there. And I enjoyed it. Traveling, meeting people, dragging bags, dragging binders. I mean, it was always dragging at the airport. They would say, and they would look at me and just do this. And I would just look so happy because I was happy doing it. And then when pandemic hit, guys, and there I was. It's like the walls were moving in on me, about to crush me. That's how I felt. The walls were coming in, pressing up against, because I wasn't used to that. Okay, whenever I work from home, I would just maybe make a few phone calls and I was gone. The next day or whatever, I was gone. Sometimes I was gone for about a week. And then the transformation, of course, came in where I had to think of, okay, Marlene, you can't keep feeling this way about the business. You got to find another way to do this. You got a daughter. My daughter was very young at the time. Guys, I had just gotten finished with a divorce. And so I had to raise her. So I took a picture of my daughter, and I kept her picture on my luggage. I kept her picture in the car when we drive around so I could see her. That was my transformation right there, guys, is that I knew I had to change in order to make things better, for my child. And so there I was there in the house. And so eventually I started to look at different, even local. I started getting locally, just right there in the city. I started doing public speaking for certain associations. I got involved with the Chamber of Commerce, just different little local kinds of affiliations I started to make because I was out of town a lot previously, but I started to maybe focus, and I'm starting to do that now also, guys. I'm at 64 authors, and I am talking with them, and I'm getting ready to do some spotlights with them here local, and they'll be in some of the bookstores, and they will be signing books. And I'm so excited about this. Is new for me, Michelle. I've never done this before. Guys, I'm transforming. I don't know how successful it's going to be. I don't know how foolish I'll look, but I'm doing it.
Good for
I'm
you.
doing this. I'm going to do this. But that's what happened with me doing the transformation. And then afterwards, I started thinking, okay, you've done public speaking before, but what else? What can you do now? And I said, then I'm watching Oprah Winfrey one day. I said, I said, no, you're not an Oprah Winfrey. They said, you don't have to be Oprah. Just try it, Marlene. Let's just try it and see. So I decided I would do the spotlight. And if the spotlight, I've never been a person that would be even in front of an audience and try to sell you. I'm not like that. I'm like Michelle and David. We're content people. We want to help you with our content. We want to help you solve problems. And then if you want to do something one-on-one with us, that's different. But right there in front of everybody, that wasn't me. I wasn't going to do that. So I got to know a lot of people who were global, guys. And David was one. And in the global, everybody else was Africa, Australia, different countries. And so I got to know them, and they would say, Marlene, it's just been awful with my business. I don't know what to do. I said, well, let's put you out there and talk to the audience and see who you can actually relate to. And then afterwards, a lot of the guests came back and said, Marlene, you will not believe who I met after your spotlight. So I felt good about doing it after I would hear this from some of the people that will be in spotlight. And I was creating relationships with the people I spotlighted and some other people who were actually in the audience. So, and today I'm writing a book. My book, Michelle, David, is to say thank you.
That's beautiful. Yeah, tell us about your book, Marlene.
Yes,
I just
please.
want to say thank you for being there for me when the walls were moving in and tightening up and about to crush me down. You said yes to me. You said yes, and I just want to say thank you. In my book, and that's what it does. My book is saying thank you to all those wonderful guests, those guests that I spotlighted. And what I'd like to do is invite you, if you don't mind, to put even some of your quotes. I would like to put some of your quotes in my book that actually talk about why I'm so thrilled with you. I'm impressed with you, that both of you, the things that happened during our spotlight, I still keep with me today. I still remember, Michelle, and it's helped me to grow. So the book is I talk about protection, and because mainly in my business, I help businesses to empower visibility and growth. And the way they do it is by protecting customers, employees, family, and even their retirement. And inside of the book, what I'm doing is I relate about what I do, but most importantly, Michelle, this book is showing how relationship building and how my transformational period grew me to get back out to do what I'm doing today. It was because of you guys. It was because of you.
Thank you so
My
much.
my spotlight, I call it my spotlight crew. Boy, my spotlight crew, I just want to tell you, it just really made a difference in my life, more than you will ever know. Just talking with all of you, and even shedding tears afterwards because I had to hold them back sometimes. But that's what the book is about, Michelle. It's about you. It's about David. It's about everyone who came out, especially those 2 years, 2021 and 2022. I mean, I'm enjoying the people from 2023, but 2021 and 2022, that really helped me. That really helped me transform. You want to talk about transformational period? It did. And it did. And that's when I meditated, David. I got on my knees in prayer and I wrote down what it was I wanted to accomplish. And I always reflected back on a conversation that I may have had during a spotlight.
We learn and grow from one another. And that's what's wonderful about building relationships, especially globally. Like there's so many things that we don't know ourselves, but when we have conversations with people, we learn from one another, and that's just wonderful.
And see, just like the areas that where my expertise lies, those areas are where my guests, like I talk about, if I talk family, if I talk about employees, I use you guys are the ones right in those areas that I'm looking to protect. You guys actually were the ones who emphasized and see and talked about employees, or you were the ones who talked about what it helps to protect a family member. You see what I mean? Even though that's my professional background, but my spotlight guest talked about each one of the areas that I'm doing business in today. Community, all of it. Every last one. I've got spotlight guests who actually are within each one of those categories that talked about it and helped me to get going again, guys, in business. Because a lot of us, after the pandemic, we were on our faces. And with me, trying to take care of my mom, helping out with her, helping, my daughter. And then I've got a granddaughter, and just a lot. There was a lot going on, guys. And my spotlight was a deliverer.
Yeah, and you've helped. Yeah.
That you're such a go-giver, Marlene, and how it all comes back around. It's your karma, because what you're doing is you're spotlighting other people. You're putting them in the spotlight. You're helping them. They should be thanking you, and yet here you are thanking your guests for what you got from that experience. Because here you are shining a spotlight on their book, on their work, on their business, and helping them to promote themselves and share their message. But you've gotten so much out of that. It's your good karma coming back to you. What you put out comes back to you amplified. And that's why you are getting so much out of it. You're getting the inspiration from it. From giving and helping other people, it all comes back around to you. And here you are writing this book and feeling inspired by the guests that you've spotlighted. It's just a really beautiful example of interdependence and karma, and what goes around comes around. It's just a perfect example of that.
See, just think everybody who read the book will be finding out about all of you, because your videos, the video today with the two of you and your previous video will be on Access, so they'll be able to see and see who Michelle Cordy is, and see who David Hanson is. Because when I'm talking about you and also of course the quotes that you've quoted within the video that I would speak to you about, get your permission on, would be used in the book. And this is something that could really change lives, David. This could really change some lives right now. Because as you guys were talking about, and Michelle, you spoke about risk. Risk is important. We have to take risk. We have to. And that's what this book is doing. Look what it's doing. It's showing all of these people all of them who came to me and said, I'll spotlight myself. I think that is so bold to step out and say, I'll do it. I'll spotlight me. I'll spotlight my personal life. I'm spotlighting my business. I'm spotlighting failure, Marlene. I'm spotlighting how I grew from this. Yes, I do want to thank everybody who did that with me. They entrusted me. They collaborated with me, and we did it together. And I'm saying thank you. This book is my thank you, and I'm prayerful that it will be a blessing to those who read it.
Oh, I'm sure it will, Marlene. You are a blessing to everyone you speak with and talk to, and we're just so blessed for you to have you in our lives. And if people, I know we have, like I said earlier, interconnections with our community, but I highly suggest if you're not following Marlene Foster, please do so. Both of our tribes, because she's a phenomenal, as you can see, a phenomenal lady. And something when you're talking about Marlene is when when we do step out of our comfort zones, you never know until you try. And look at the things that you have accomplished, all three of us that accomplished by stepping out of our comfort zones. It takes taking the risk. And like I said earlier, if you don't know, how are you going to know if you don't try? And it's okay if we fail. Failure is a part of the process. It just means, okay, I tried and maybe I need to try harder, or it's I shouldn't do that. It doesn't feel right.
Now, guys, I also wanted to say that I'm also inviting anyone who's trying to build a business, or even an existing business owner. If you say, I want to write a book right now, I don't know how to go about doing it. I have a membership, and this membership, all we do is we write together. We write together. We give each other feedback, and if you would like to come and and join and be a part of this, I welcome you. Come, and like I say, it's just there of all those of us who just there together. I've been in business now for 20 something years, but writing, this is my first time writing a book, and I'm very excited about it. And anybody who wants to come on board, and also I have professionals to come and speak to us. So I have professional ghostwriters, editors, publishers. We get the benefit of those individuals. They come and they share their knowledge with us. So you like to come, be a part of this, reach out to me. And I wanted to also let Michelle and David, if you would also please just succinctly, give the audience an overview of what it is that you spoke about, and would you like to invite them to do, within your communities?
Well, again, if we should all, I mean, if you're not connected to either David or Marlene, please follow them. All three of us provide great content. And, like we all said earlier, our vibe attracts our tribe. But just to recap, self-love and self-care is not selfish, putting yourself first. It's necessary. And we need to be, again, our own best friend and cheerleader. We're with ourselves 24/7, 365. No one's going to do the work for us. But, as a coach myself, I'm here to help guide, mentor, teach, assist, and I'll help you. And I'm starting a 4-week group coaching program soon. So anyone who's interested, they can DM me. And again, I'm passionate about mental health, and I'm looking for other opportunities to speak more about that. So again, graciously, I am so grateful for you, Marlene, for having, again, us back on your podcast, and to be with David as well. So I'm very appreciative. But with ending my bits of my story is like, take the risk. What do you have to lose? And with a quote real quickly that I'll share that I absolutely love is, I love this. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. So we need to blossom. If not, we're going to wilt because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So take the risk, people. It's not scary. Look at us.
Absolutely. And I just want to ask you, Michelle, would you just share with us? You said, is it a workshop, or what is it that you got coming up? What is it?
Yeah, it's a 4-week group coaching program. So yes, I have.
Okay. Could you give us just a little bit more of an explanation? Tell us about it, because I would like to know.
Yeah, so I have a workbook. We'll be meeting Tuesday and Thursday for 4 weeks. Getting the details more aligned right now, but There's a workshop. We'll be meeting 2 days a week. We'll be talking in the group, and I'm only taking a maximum of 10 because I want to keep it small. And I'm a big believer in small and mighty and getting to know people and building relationships and the community within each other. And so still working some more details out, but that's kind of the gist of it. But it's basically, learning to love yourself for who you are and stop the narratives, because those limiting beliefs, they can be truly limiting, but there's so much power in getting to know yourself on a deeper level.
So true. And also the challenge you that talked about for the audience today, the challenge that we spoke of for them.
Yeah. So, I'm all up, we were talking about risk and protection, and it's just like, what are you holding back by not taking risk in your life? What are you protecting inside of you that you can release to say, okay, just like Marlene pivoted and did podcasts and spotlights. That wasn't in her wheelhouse at the time, but now she's writing a book about it. Look at all these opportunities that come by taking risk. Living examples.
Wow. And what Michelle and David and I are asking that you do is to comment and write to, just let us know, don't be embarrassed. Look at, we just opened up and we were very personal about our own lives. Tell us, okay, why risk? Tell us again why risk, you feel risky is a good thing. And then if you have a challenge with risk, comment and tell us the risk that you foresee, because Michelle is here and she would very much like to, reach out, to speak with you. And also David, help you in any way that it possible. And myself, because I've experienced it. So all three of us are here. Write in the comment section about your experience with risk, ladies and gentlemen. Why you're not doing it. Why are you not doing it? And tell us why you do it. So I don't know who you can tell us why you do it and why you're not doing it. Let us help to push you, over the finish line. Let us help you with that.
Yes.
And David, give us an overview about, again, what you spoke with us about, for the audience.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having us on your show, Marlene. And it's all just kind of tying together what we're talking about today. And everything kind of boils down to a choice between fear and love. And what we have been doing and why we are transforming is because we are choosing love. Michelle is pursuing her passion to help and serve other people, and she's coaching people, and she took a risk on that. And likewise, you put yourself out there with creating a podcast and writing a book. And now creating this membership for aspiring authors and aspiring authors to support them, and that is so beneficial. And what makes it especially transformative is the good intention that's behind it, because I feel comfortable. I shouldn't speak for other people, but I feel comfortable saying that we all are coming from a place of wanting to help people. We want to help people with their lives and provide value to them. That's what we're doing with our posts and everything that we're doing. Is my intention with creating posts is to enhance people's lives in some way. And I think it's all about intention. That's a huge part of it. And speaking of risk and choosing fear or love, it is scary to take a risk, but the only real failure is when we don't take that chance, when we don't take that risk and bet on ourselves and love ourselves. And a choice of love is doing what you're passionate about, what lights you up. When I loved my job in home furnishings, and I'd probably still be doing it right now if I wasn't laid off at the pandemic. But I was already, through meditation, I was already awakening this desire to help people on a deeper spiritual level. And so it would have been easy for me to just find another home furnishings job. And I didn't want to be pigeonholed by my resume and my work experience. I wanted to help people in a deeper, more meaningful way. And so talk about taking a risk. I started my own venture. It's called ZenZoom Transformation. And it's all about transforming your life from the inside out. Discover your Zen. Zen is about doing a deep dive into yourself, going within. And Zen is the inner transformation, which is where all meaningful transformation happens, is first within us. And then Zoom is the ripple effect, the positive ripple effect that happens in all aspects of our lives as a result of the change that we've made within ourselves. And so first we love and care for ourselves, like Michelle was talking about. We fill our own cup first, and then we can serve from the overflow. So like Michelle was saying, we love and take care of ourselves. It's not selfish, it's necessary, because we can't serve people from an empty cup. We have to first fill our own cup. And that you were talking about that too, Marlene. But then when we do love ourselves and care for ourselves, then we can better help and serve other people. And so when we love ourselves, then we find ourselves being more loving towards other people, and that affects our closest relationships. And then that ripples out to our communities. And then ultimately, it ripples out to the whole world. We're changing the world one soul at a time, and it grows exponentially. I sometimes use the popcorn analogy that global spiritual transformation is like popcorn. At first, only a few kernels pop, and that's us. That's the three of us. We're those kernels that are popping initially, but then very soon, pop, it just grows exponentially. And that's the whole idea of ZenZoom, is changing ourselves, but then it grows and it zooms out. It expands exponentially from there. And so it literally, the ultimate fulfillment of ZenZoom transformation is to transform the world, to usher in a global paradigm shift for the better.
Wow. Do you coach one-on-one, or do you ever do maybe a group consultation? I was just curious about you.
So ZenZoom is about providing coaching and guidance and support and educational resources to help people on their own personal transformational journeys, to discover their Zen and do a deep dive into themselves. So yes, I am I'm evolving with my own development of this, and I'm feeling this desire to reach more people. I can only reach so many people through coaching, and I want to be able to reach more people. And so I'm starting to feel this fire in my belly about writing, and so that I can reach more people that way. But yes, I'm developing resources for people to help them to change their lives and transform from the inside out.
Oh, you just made my heart jump right there, Dave. Because how long have I been talking to you about writing?
Mm-hmm. You like I said before, you've been kind of that divine nudge. Hey there, David. You ought to be writing. You ought to be writing a book. And so again, not only having me as a guest on your show, but you continue to support me and encourage me, and I really appreciate you, Marlene.
Man, it is deeply, my pleasure. And I want to just end here by saying that the author spotlight is something that, yes, I really enjoyed. And I've got right now about 5 people that spotlighted, and they said, "Guess what? I'm writing a book because of you." And now I'm in the preface. I think of two of them, and then there's others who come to me and said, "Marlene, if it had not been for you," and they told me, said, you pull, you prodded, you push, you kicked. I said, yeah. And look at David going, yes. Well, because I see quality, Michelle, just like I see it in you, and I do. I see it, David. And so I just want to say, you got something that the world needs to see, needs to know about. And why not share it? They need this. I mean, I'm happy that you're here with me today. But I'm saying, yes, like David said, go deeper. Go deeper and becoming an author. That means that's different. There'll be public speaking opportunities for you, and other people will be reaching out to you because they would have read your book. So go deeper, Michelle. And David, I'm so proud to hear that. Thank you. And thank you both again for being here with me today. Thank you so very much. And I look forward to speaking back with the two of you about my book, because I want everybody who read my book to know about the two of you. So I will be in contact with you. And thank you so much again.
Thank you, Marlene.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Yeah. Michelle.
Thank you.